Alright, how's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? Now, I've decided to break Mobizen out for this one right here. I wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit of history before I went ahead and delved into the generic polling that is today that goes on here on YouTube. And to be real, there's no real good quality metric as far as it goes for polling data these days. Most of your resources and what they would use to pretty much gauge where society is was the social media, and ultimately, with Hollywood and entertainment falling off like it is, I can pretty much tell you that the left has expended every weapon in their arsenal to try and, basically claim any kind of real power at all. And so I decided I was going to go through these maps. And as you can see right here, we're looking at 1968. And the reason why this is important is the Democrats, they go along and they say, oh, you need to vote for this for democracy. It's all about democracy. That's what they keep on telling everybody, right? It's all about democracy. Well, if your party is the protectors of democracy, which they're not. They're National Socialist, is exactly what the fuck the Democrats are. That being said, if it was all about democracy, the democracy died in the 1960s after the Civil Rights Act. So as you can see right here, that's a lot of red that Nixon won in 1968. You can see that already in 1968, the only real hold on political power that the Democrats had was whenever it was a white nationalist country, and particularly whenever in the South, right? They pretty much won overwhelmingly in the South. However, you could tell right here in 1968 that the South was starting to transition a little bit more. Texas still voted blue in this election. Florida had already went Republican. You see South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, Missouri. All of these southern states were already starting to go ahead and trend in the Republican direction after the Civil Rights Act. Then we go to 1972, and that's an ass whooping. You see, what happened was that the Democrats have already had mandates. They've already been given opportunities. They've already been given chances to go ahead and fix themselves. And over time, they really haven't. And the reason why is that regardless of what you think of the Republicans, I'm not voting this year, so there's no dog in the fight. I'm not sitting here pepper rallying and cheerleading for the Republicans because they haven't got their shit together neither. However, we could tell that the general consensus is not for social nationalism, and it hasn't been for years. And I can tell you right now, the Democrats can say what the fuck that they want to say. They're the party of welfare. They're the party of free handouts, FDR. They are that party of National Socialism. That's what they are, which is what they call everybody else fucking Nazis, because they're fucking hypocrites. It's exactly what the fuck they are. So in the 1970s, the Democrat Party was pretty much already dead. We see a 520 to 17 ass whooping of McGovern that Nixon put on him. They went ahead, sabotaged Nixon's campaign, much like they're doing to Trump right now. The only difference was back then, people still had some sort of confidence that these journalists were putting out some sort of truths. So we go back here, and whenever, with all the hick jobs and all the hack job journalists and saying that, Reagan, after having consecutive ass whoopings on the Democrat Party, somehow felt it necessary to go ahead and spy on their fucking candidate that he just totally fucking annihilated. After running hit piece after hit piece, much like you see with Donald Trump right now, they ended up squeaking by with a 297 to 240 victory. This shows you right here that the Democrats were not popular. They're not the party because you need a majority to be a party. And I can guarantee you, with this slim margin right here, you're definitely not winning by a majority of the population. So let's go on to the following, and we see a 489 to 49 ass whooping of Jimmy Carter the following year. So the Democrats have been struggling, and they've been having to rig these fucking elections just to stay competitive. It's exactly what it is. They don't reform. They don't have change their ideas. They don't try to get out this old, prejudiced, social nationalist, racist ideology of creating a race war, because back in the 60s and the 70s, this is all the Democrats would try to do, is to create these race wars. They do the same shit now. The Democrats haven't changed since the fucking 1960s, since the 1950s. You see how they're pushing World War III right now. You see how they start their little BLM movements and cause all this racial division. That's exactly what they do, because they're white fucking nationalists. That's what they are. And it doesn't matter who's running the party. All the little fucking shills and stuff, they just go along and follow their little orders and whatnot. So we could tell by the 80s, when we get into the 80s, well, this is an absolute fucking ass whooping by the Republicans. This was a mandate. This was society. This was America saying that you need to change your party. You need to go ahead and go away from the white national socialist fucking party of trying to, control everything from fucking DC. And you need to go ahead and change some legislations. Well, how did Reagan do his first year? I mean, he won by a fucking landslide in 1980. Let's see how he did in 1984 for his re-election campaign. And that's a 525 to 13 ass whooping. 2 years in a row that you've had this red wave coming on, and just, landslide after landslide victories for the Republicans. You go ahead and take that small one, that little, where they were using their journalists to go ahead and defame President Nixon and whatnot, so much so that he had to be removed from office, and they still can't win anything. They still are getting defeated in landslides. Why would Nixon have to spy on this outdated, dying party? It makes no fucking sense. So let's go to 1988, the first year that Bush was elected, and we see a 426 to 111 ass whooping of Dukakis. Now, this is where we start to sit there, and this is where you start to get the whole, every 4 years the dead come back to life and vote Democrats. Because the Democrats were in trouble. They had already known it. This was landslide after landslide after now another landslide election in 1988, showing that the conservative policies were a hell of a lot more popular than the leftist socialist policies in this country as it stands. So, this is where they start fooling with the elections and whatnot. And we could see right here that this was the 1988, the number of them. We could see right now it's, we'll go ahead and give that an even 49 million, just to round it up and whatnot, to 41 million. We'll go ahead and round that one down for an even, 99 million people that were voting in this election. So with that being said, it's only it was still under 100 million people. But then you come back to the 1992. This is the election that Bill Clinton defeated George Bush, right? And this is where the numbers get a little fucking exaggerated. You seen this right here? Let's look at this number. George Bush got 48 million. Michael Dukakis got 41 million. So we come back and look at the election numbers for the 1992 election. Bill Clinton gets 44 million. Okay, you know what? That sounds, a little suspicious, but, it's not as much as Bush got the previous year. George Bush gets 39 million, but you got another 20 million somewhere that somebody pulled out of their fucking asshole. So you're almost at, when you're looking at this, you take we'll go ahead and round that up to 20 million, and the Republican nomination getting 40 million, and even 40 million, that's 60 million, plus the 44 million that you just had on there, and you're looking at 104 million as compared to the previous elections. Whenever you're looking at these numbers, something doesn't really feel right. I myself was a Ross Perot guy, so I didn't vote in this particular election, but with that being said, that was my guy going into that election. So if I could have voted, I would have voted for Ross Perot, and I would have been one of the 19 million people who voted for Ross Perot. I can guarantee you, if there was no Ross Perot, I would have voted for Bush, because I lean more conservative, physically conservative, and conservatism doesn't mean fucking Illuminati. It doesn't mean that, oh, you're a Christian white nationalist. It doesn't mean any of that shit. It just means that you're more physically responsible. You believe in tax cuts. Government should have less influence in your life. That they shouldn't be paying all this welfare and shit like that out. You believe in having better infrastructure. You believe in having more business, private interest controlling the economy than governments controlling the economy. So I would have probably voted more for the Republican. But with that being said, Ross Perot was just a more conservative candidate. But we could see that these numbers don't really add up. To be honest with you, I guarantee you that the Ross Perot, that 19 million, would have probably voted for George Bush. But the numbers just don't make any sense, even if they did. Because we see how the Democrats were getting their ass kicked with landslide after landslide after landslide. And suddenly, we come into an election between Bush and Clinton, and all of a sudden, you know, the Democrats eke one out. And like I said, those independents would have probably voted more conservative because Ross Perot was more conservative. He was the more conservative candidate over Bush. That's why I was going to vote for Ross Perot, and I did vote for Ross Perot in the next election and whatnot. So we could see that the election tampering and the desperation had definitely came into the Democrat Party, had facilitated, had seeded itself into the Democrat Party in the 90s. So we go back into the Dole versus Bob Dole. This is Bob Dole and Bill Clinton in 1996. This is the one that I did vote in. And I voted for the reform candidate, which was Ross Perot. Ross Perot didn't win this one neither. But I would have been the one of the 8 million people. But we could see right here again where the numbers get kind of wonky. Where the Republican almost got 40 million, just like Bush did, about the same amount. That conservative, Ross Perot, ended up, accumulating 8 million, taking away. So really, these Republican and Democrat numbers are really kind of close. Because if you take that 8 million right there, and you add it to that 39 million up there, with the hundreds of thousands, it would have been a razor-thin margin for one of the weakest Republican candidates, Bob Dole. Bill Clinton would have probably, would Bill Clinton have still won? Probably not. But we get into the 2000 election. This is where Bush beat Gore, and I'm not even going to go into the numbers on this one because this is the one that the Democrats said, oh, it was rigged. It was rigged for George Bush because they can't take an ass whooping like real men because Democrats don't make real men. They make feminine men, and that's what they fucking are. And so, lo and behold, they had to cry that George Bush won, George Bush won. But we come back to 2008, and they got their fucking guy in, Barack Hussein Obama. There was nothing I could do. Like, I knew the motherfucker was a Marxist. I did not vote for Obama. I did not vote for McCain. Because both were the same size of fucking socialism. And if I don't like fucking Obama, because he's a fucking Marxist, socialist, commie motherfucker, then I'm not going to like McCain's brand of socialism neither. Because I'm just the opposite. So I didn't vote for McCain. I didn't vote for Obama. I voted for Gary Johnson. That's who I voted for. And I kind of already knew that Obama was going to win overwhelmingly. Because McCain really wasn't saying too much different from Obama. They were saying the same shit. So if you voted for McCain, you were just voting for McCain because you were a racist. But I didn't like either one of them, so I voted for the fucking weed guy. I voted for Gary Johnson. I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm not voting for McCain neither because he's a fucking dumbass too. And I don't give a shit what Megan wants to come out and fucking say about her dad. Your fucking dad's policies were absolutely fucking trash. And it wasn't too much different than what Obama wanted to do. But we come back here and look at the numbers. We'll look at the numbers. I got the numbers. So now we see how these numbers start to facilitate more for the Democrats. How these numbers get inflated every time the Democrats win an election. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that Obama didn't get nearly 70 million votes. I'm sure that he did. This is probably one of those few times that I've seen a Democrat probably and say, yeah, you know what, he probably did get 70 million votes because he was the Pepsi choice candidate. He was just the popular candidate, and that's what he was. He was like a fucking Pepsi choice. And so the millennials thought they were doing something by voting for the first black Marxist president and shit. And, you know, we got shit policies because nobody took the time to actually listen to what these motherfuckers say, no more than whenever they put on this fucking circus that they put on there, where they're all talking about climate change and border security and women's rights to choose and all this other shit that they talk about. They don't talk about shit that makes common sense. So, you know, but you could see that these numbers, because this margin right now has kind of inflated a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You get 60 million, so you got over, you've probably got 138 million votes right here between the two of these motherfuckers. Romney wasn't that popular. I am really shocked that Romney got, but, you know, there yet again, a lot of people understood that Obama was a Marxist, so a lot of people probably came out to vote against Obama because he was a Marxist. The shit that he was saying was straight commie fucking propaganda bullshit. And so a lot of people, this resonated with people like me and whatnot, where the Republican base probably said, well, you know what, we need to go ahead. We don't like Romney because nobody, like, I mean, well, this is McCain. A lot of them, you know, just didn't want fucking Marxism. And Obama was a Marxist. And the shit that he was saying was Marxist shit whenever he was running for president. So that's probably what got a lot of people out to vote for the Republican candidate because, like I said, there yet again, nobody wants Marxism. Then we get to Obama and Romney, which Romney was the second worst. I mean, Republicans were running the worst candidates against Obama. Like, they wanted Obama to win. This is why I'm not voting. This is why I don't give a shit about, you know, whoever wins the fucking election. I don't care. Because you run McCain, which was saying the same shit that Obama was saying, and then you go ahead and run Romney, which is going to do the same shit that Obama tried to do with the Obamacare. You would have still got the shit if it was Romney or not. So why would the Republicans go out and vote for Mitt Romney whenever they're going to get the same bullshit legislation of fucking universal Hillary care that, you know, you couldn't get passed in the 90s? And it turned out to be a complete and utter fucking failure. You're not going to get socialized health care because you're paying for everybody else's health care. And this ends up being the fucking issue that we're running into here in the United States right now, where we have to send money to Ukraine. We got to send money to Israel. We got to send money to all these countries to support their fucking health care. You know what I'm saying? So they got to have wars and shit like this right here. They rely on it. It's a fucking market. And they use you as tax cattle, so they got to go ahead and raise your taxes up so they can pay for other people's shit. You know, other people's, you know, quality of life, except for ours and whatnot. We're just kind of like the fucking, we're the new fucking Hebrews. We're the fucking slaves right now. And they just go ahead and leech off us like tax cattle and shit. And we're working on, you know, putting out their socialized health care. If you added 331 million more fucking people on, then our economy would collapse. Our economy would collapse. Because you already have to print our dollar into fucking obscurity right now as it is, just to go ahead and have the European healthcare system and have the Canadian healthcare system. All this money that we give into these, you know, G7 countries and shit, all this money that we put in, that's what it goes to. So, you know, we come back and look at this election and you get 65 million for Obama, 60 million, and then 1 million. So we could see how the numbers are kind of fudged a little bit. They fudged the numbers. These numbers start to get inflated a little bit. We go into the Donald Trump election right here. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. You see right now, neither one of these candidates right here were, I mean, you know, Trump caught on. You know what I'm saying? And the Trump was basically us saying, fuck you, to Washington, D.C. Because everybody kind of felt like he wasn't a real qualified candidate. Nobody liked Hillary. She was a career politician. And this was a mandate by the United States. I guarantee you that Hillary Clinton didn't get 65 million votes. She probably barely got over 40, if she was lucky. Probably more like 35 to 38 million votes would be my real guess, my true accurate guess, would be that the Democrats weren't too enthused to vote for Hillary. And in fact, most all of the fucking people that I know that religiously vote Democrat were voting third party, much like I did whenever Obama ran. Whenever Obama ran and they ran McCain and they ran Romney, I voted third party. Hillary Clinton was the McCain and Romney for the Democrat Party, even though they tried to go ahead and push her in by putting in low-hanging fruit Republican candidates like Donald Trump. And ultimately, what ended up happening is everybody said, fuck you, we're going to troll you, and we're going to go out and we're going to vote for Donald Trump. And that's exactly what happened. So, Donald Trump probably actually won by a bigger margin than a lot of people think. Like I said, Hillary Clinton did not get 65 million votes. And really, at the end of the day, people should have called the Democrat Party out on that and held them accountable. And by all means, let's do a recount, because I want to see that you didn't get that many fucking votes and that you lost by even more. It should have been another landslide. And then the Democrats should have went ahead and taken this loss, like they've had losses year after year after year in the 1980s through the 1990s. They should have taken this loss and reformed that party. But the social nationalists can't, because they have to have power. And the only way that they can get power is by taking it away from you. And this is what the Democrats do. That's the only thing that they could do, is take away power from you and give it to them. Take away your rights. That way, because they're a party of authoritarians. You know, and I'm not sitting there praising the fucking Republicans, because they've allowed them to go ahead and play these stupid fucking games with their little media outlets. So then we come back in here to this next election. We just went through the last two elections. You get probably one of the most no-named, not really liked presidents, and Joe Biden, and he somehow gets more votes than Barack Obama. And Donald Trump gets more votes than Barack Obama. So we can kind of see right now, this is the State Department telling you, fuck you, we control the fucking system, and if you don't like it, then you better get over it, or else we'll go ahead, and I say just rig the next fucking election. It doesn't matter to me, because you're fucking, the patience is getting really fucking thin with this fucking country. So I don't really give a shit if y'all want to rig. If y'all want to rig another election, like you're losing fucking views on Twitter, YouTube, on these social media sites where you have your internet influencers on, all of these entertainers and stuff like that losing credibility, be my guest. Go ahead and rig another fucking election. It doesn't matter to me. But we'll go ahead and go on. I'll go ahead and do my interactive map here for what I think, potentially, how it should look whenever we're coming into the next election here. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. So, of course, I'm going to go through the states that are going to, well, I say I will. This thing is not wanting to work with me today, is it? Okay. Should be able to just touch it and it should just light up. To the color that I wanted it to, but these fucking State Department shills and whatnot. We'll go ahead and reset it to this right here. So we'll go ahead and see if that'll make any difference. And it doesn't look like it's going to work at all. Let's go blank map. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so we know DC is going to be blue. So we'll go ahead and make that one blue. How come that, all of these little states, see, it'll let me change that one. Let's see if I can move this to the side a little bit. Just not letting me change anything on the map. I do think that New Jersey might go red. What's going on with this thing? What's going on? Let me go ahead and pause this real quick. Alright, so we'll try this again. So let's go ahead and give Trump the states that we know that he's probably going to go ahead and win. He'll probably go ahead and win that wall again. He'll probably win this one, this one, this one, this one. Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota. You can guarantee he'll probably win Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Let's see, make sure. Go ahead and give me Alabama and Mississippi. Florida is probably even more red than Texas is right now. South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina. We'll give him Iowa, Indiana, and so yeah, these are the states that more than likely Donald Trump will definitely win. Now we're heading into this election. I can tell you right now that inflation, regardless of what the fucking dumbasses that are in the Republican Party will tell you, oh, it's the border security. People in Canada did the border. I guarantee you people in blue states are probably tired of that shit. But, you know, here it doesn't really make any difference because we've always had this problem. So, let's go ahead and give the states that I know that Biden's going to pick up there. He's going to pick up California, Oregon, and, you know, I've seen some polls saying that Donald Trump is leading in Washington. This could be the start of the downfall of the West Coast collapse from the communist villages. But I'm going to go ahead and, for all extensive purposes, until I can really get a good handling on it, till I really see some real polls, I'm going to have to, and we'll give Trump Alaska as well. I'm going to need a little bit more for me to go ahead and say that they've kind of saw the light and is migrating towards the, Trump will probably win Utah as well. So, right now, let's go ahead and take a look. Right now, as it stands, with the states that Trump has, he's already at 235. Like I said, he's already has 235. There's no way he's losing Florida. There's no way he's losing Texas, which are two of the biggest states as far as electoral votes coming into this election. And so he's already at 235. We got, we'll go ahead and give Biden Illinois. We'll give Biden Minnesota, because them motherfuckers up there, I don't know about them guys, but you know. We'll give him New York mostly, but I'm saying that this could probably change, because I think people in New York, and I believe that people in California, are getting tired of the bullshit, because like I said, the Democrats rely on that crime. The Democrats rely on you being dependent on the state. So they, believe it or not, if you think that you're voting against Republicans because you're gonna fuck the police, the Democrats want a police state. So, we'll go ahead and give all of these little bitty ones right here, because they're all connected to the New York or the DC economy and whatnot. They're all dependent on the state pretty much. So this is where they get their bread and butter from, is from DC or New York, who tend to lean to more social nationalist. I think that Maine may actually go red this year, but that'll take, and I actually think that like New Jersey and New Hampshire may also go red. I really do. I really kind of want to change them both to red for this election, and it very well could happen. So now you have all these quote-unquote toss-up states that we have going right now. I can tell you right now that New Mexico will go blue, and a lot of people don't understand why New Mexico always goes blue. They're dependent on DC. They're totally controlled by the government, pretty much. So, and this is the same thing with Hawaii here, because they got so many military bases in Hawaii that it's going to go blue. You know what I'm saying? They rely on government subsidies on the state of Hawaii, essentially. So, you know, when you have all these military bases and stuff like that, it tends to lean more towards statism than it does any kind of real autonomy. And, you know, the Republicans rely on autonomy. So let's go ahead and see where we're at right now for both. So we're at 195 for the Republicans and 239 for the Democrats. Oh, wait a minute. No wonder this turned out all wonky. It turned Texas blue. Okay, so we're at 235 for the Republicans, 199 for the Democrats as we see it right now. So, this is based on the way that it should go, not if they fix it. Because I guarantee you, they're probably going to go ahead and throw some tomfuckery in here. But we'll go ahead and make Virginia blue. And the reason why Virginia really should have went red, I think that they should have went red whenever Trump won the first time. I think he should have won Virginia the first time. And I do believe that he did legitimately win that state. I also believe that he won Colorado and Nevada during the 2016 election. I believe that those two states definitely went for Trump. There was some fuckery going on in their elections and whatnot. So I do believe that Donald Trump did win Virginia and Colorado. But Virginia, being so close to D.C., it suffers from the same thing as New Mexico and Hawaii, is that it's going to be controlled because a lot of their jobs rely on D.C. having a lot of authority and power, and a lot of the bureaucracy that D.C. tends to spread like the fucking AIDS of the country right now. However, I do think that they're not going to be able to rig this election in Georgia. So we get 16 more votes, and you can see right now Donald Trump is at 251. That means that he only needs 19 more to win. And so one of these right here, I do believe Arizona will go back red. A lot of the reasons why is because they suffer from a lot of the same shit that Texas does, which is a border issue, and Donald Trump's border thing is probably going to appeal more to people in Arizona who have, regardless of what you think about the border issue, you know, a lot of the border states want something done about the border. Me, it's not a big thing. It's not my idea to build a fucking wall, but it is what it is. So this appeals more to the border states. So give me Arizona going ahead, and now we are at 262, which the Democrats want to sit there and have you think that they're probably going to win by a rather thin margin. Well, like I said, we got Maine here, and I do think that Maine is probably going to go red looking at the polls. And actually, I believe Washington may just go red this election, which would put him over with that 12 to 278. However, Wisconsin, he probably won Wisconsin, and he probably won Michigan. So I'm going to go ahead, and he probably won Pennsylvania in the last election. So I'm going to go ahead and make those states red, because I believe that that's where a lot of the election fraud went on. Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Those were the main states that the Democrats did the most rigging in, where they had to shut down the election to go ahead and do ballot harvesting and ballot dumps for Joe Biden. I don't give a fuck what any of these fucking political commentators on this site will say. You know, you say what you want to about the fucking Russians, little Democrats, but the Russians didn't have to shut down the election in 2016 to ballot dump for Donald Trump, much like the Democrats had to do in 2020 for fucking Joe Biden to get their fucking guy on there. So, to be fair, I don't want to give them Colorado because I don't really think that they really have a shot in Colorado, but I'll go ahead and give them Colorado anyways. I don't really trust the election systems in these states and whatnot. I do think that we're going to find out how reliable Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin are, since they just turned red in 2016 and their election was interfered with, what they're going to fucking do in Georgia, Colorado, and Pennsylvania. Because I guarantee you, rigging this election will not work out well for the Democrats. I do think that Nevada, however, will go red. So, we'll go ahead and look at our tallies. I got the Republicans winning 316 to 222. Whenever I do think that they'll end up taking back both the House and the Senate. I think that for the most part, the reason and the fucking, regardless of, you can go ahead and look at me and say, what about women's rights to choose? The reason why you lost women's rights to choose is because that the Democrats have lost over and over and over again. So you had that sacrificial lamb. I told you whenever you went ahead and decided to push the fucking commie cough, you're going to end up getting Roe v. Wade repealed and overturned, where it's going to be kicked back to the states. You didn't believe me. You said I was a conspiracy theorist. Guess what? We're standing at here at 2024, and you're still pretending like this is a major fucking issue. This is a wedge issue. Nobody gives a fuck about your fucking Roe v. Wade or your women's right to choose. Not when they're serious, because you know what? You don't have a fucking argument. You have like, what? How many forms of birth control are there now? At least 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, half a dozen forms of birth control, not considering abstinence. That's not a fucking issue. That's not an issue. All right? It's not going to be an issue. And nobody's going to give a fuck about having any kind of, because we know that you're not qualified to have a reasonable debate on the shit. And so, yeah, you know what? The Democrats are not going to reform, because these fucking generic ass elections in these blue states right here will never fix their election process. You know, whenever the Democrats are in jeopardy, they're going to be able to rig the election in these states and whatnot. And that's why they're trying to spread their little fucking cancers through the red states, as we can see going on right now. However, I do believe that if they do rig this election and they do end up installing Joe Biden with that Inflation Reduction Act, going and arbitrarily taxing these jobs out of the private sector and collapsing the economy even further, combined with the epic amount of inflation that'll still continue regardless of whoever wins the fucking election and whatnot, it's not going to work out too well, really, for either party. I mean, if I'm Donald Trump, I don't even know if I want to win the fucking election or just let the fucking Democrats rig another election so they can end up, suffering from the same fate that the aristocracy did back in the French Revolution. Because that's pretty close to where we're fucking getting in this country. So, anyways, I figured I would go ahead and do an election map. I don't go off of any of the polling data. This is just what I see based on the algorithms, the movements, whenever I drive out and I talk to people from both sides of the fucking aisle, that the Democrats don't stand a chance in winning any kind of real elections right now. Everybody's kind of gotten tired of them. They see them as superficial, which you should have saw them as superficial to begin with. However, you know, the commies just don't have much of a fucking stronghold in this country anymore. And it's going to get to be about that time for them to clean house. They've never reformed. They've always pushed their ridiculous agenda of socialism, which in their mind's eye is communism, not socialism, because you're not going to get socialism in this country. This country has too big of a population for it to be a socialist utopia like you want to. No, you're going to be fucking slave laborers. There's going to be three classes: the political class, the auxiliary class, which is your military and police, and your fucking slave class, which is you, which don't have any fucking rights. And we see that these social experiments have failed, and if we stop paying the fucking bill for Europe and these other countries, that socialized healthcare that you talk about, then those countries would collapse too. You know, you could see that socialism wouldn't work in those countries neither. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and do this map. You people tell me what you think. Like I said, the polling data, there's no real polling data because it's only a marginalized sample size. Because I guarantee you that if it was reality and we were going off of what we really know, it would probably look closer to something like this. I guarantee you that these Northwest states would definitely vote Democrats. You'd probably get Colorado would probably vote for Trump. I think that a lot of people in Illinois, with their high crime rates and stuff like that, they would probably swing that direction. Minnesota, I don't know about too much. I know that, like, you know, Brad Rules and some of my people that I know in New York, they're sick and tired of the Democrats, so they would probably go back and vote Republican. Virginia, the blue-collar people should be deciding these elections, not the fucking bureaucrats. And then, like, I would probably say New Jersey, Well, I already got Maine as that. New Jersey would for sure, and New Hampshire. Vermont, being how Biden is from Vermont, they would probably still vote for Joe Biden. But this is probably what it would really look like in reality if the elections weren't tampered with in these states. And like I said, a lot of these states right here are going to be connected. So wherever DC goes, and DC will always vote for the Democrat because the Democrats are National Socialists. And so, you know, DC is going to vote for its own interest. So DC will never vote for a Republican or anything other than a Democrat. So anyways, you people tell me what you think. You like, sub, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over it. And for now, I'm out.